Hi everyone, Ashley here and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I am sharing how to make this cute card featuring some of the newest products released by Lawn Fawn, including those two adorable critters that are part of one of their latest stamp sets called Scootin By, and they are scooting along on their scooters on this road, which is another one of their latest die cuts. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm starting with a panel of Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, which is a really nice cardstock for blending. And I've cut that with a small rectangle die, which cuts it to be just slightly smaller than a typical card base. So I believe the size of this panel is about 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. So it'll fit just slightly smaller than a 5.5 by 4 1/4 inch card. I do apologize for the lighting in this video. I was filming it while the sun was pouring in my window, and I probably should have shut the shutters just for the sake of the video, but I was really enjoying the sun on just coming in, and I didn't realize that it was affecting the video this way until it was too late, unfortunately. It is finally starting to get warm here in Canada, so I was really enjoying the sunlight while it was there. You may have also noticed my cat Luna. She likes to visit me as I'm making cards, and she is a very large presence in this video, so you will see much more of her shortly. So I'm just doing some ink blending on this panel using one of the latest released stencils from Lawn Fawn. This is their Grassy border Slimline stencil, which just has this really fun sort of hilly pattern with a grassy top. And it's got both sides, which makes it really neat, so you can do the positive and negative side. So I started by blending the sky using the positive side, and then I switched the stencil and blended the grass using the negative side. For both of those, I used two colors and just sort of blended them together. For the sky, I used Tumbled Glass and Salvaged Patina, which is a new distressed oxide color that is so beautiful. And for the grass, I only used one color for the grass. I just used Twisted Citron, and I kind of just faded it out by using a lighter hand towards the bottom of the panel. So you kind of get a natural ombre effect, just from the one color. Now I'm just gluing down that die cut road, which I cut out of a gray piece and a white piece, with the gray piece having those notches in it so that when you glue it onto the white piece, it looks like part of that white piece is shining through in a pattern that looks like sort of the dots on a road, which is really nice. I was then able to glue that down onto the panel, kind of matching the pattern of the hillside, and I just cut off the edges so that it just looks nice and straight. Okay, so now I'm stamping out images from that stamp set I mentioned, which is called Scootin By, and I just showed it at the beginning here a little bit. So as you saw, it has a few adorable critters. It has a bunny, a fox, and a mouse, and it has the associated scooters for each of them to ride on, which is really cute, and then a few little accessories. So I stamped out a scooter for each of the bunny and the fox. I also stamped them each out a few of the accessories. So I stamped out 2 helmets, 2 little puffs of smoke, 2 little horns, and then a couple of the different lines, which you'll see kind of act as like the motion lines for the scooter as well as the honking noise for the horn. So I stamped all of these images out in a Copic friendly black ink, and right now I'm using Gina K black ink. I think it's called Amalgam black ink. I've tested a few different black inks. I may have talked about it in a recent video because I was finding that a few of the inks I was trying were smearing when I colored them with the Copic markers, even though they were supposed to be Copic friendly. So I was getting really frustrated as I continued to try more and more black inks, more and more papers and things like that. I finally settled on this combination that does seem to work most times. So I'm using Gina K Designs Amalgam ink, and then I'm using Neenah Solar White paper. And I do find that if I stamp and I color right away, the ink is still a little bit wet, and it can smear a little bit still. So you have to be a little bit careful. What I've done lately is I've stamped out my images as the first thing I do on a card. And then I'll just set the panel aside to dry while I work on some of the other things. So I'll work on the background, or I'll work on the sentiment or something. And that way it allows the ink from the stamped images to dry a little bit before you come back in with your Copic markers. And that definitely does seem to help. I still do get a little bit of smearing sometimes, but it's not quite as frequent as I was getting it before. So if you are having that problem too, maybe try that combination of ink and paper and see if it works for you, as well as sort of just waiting a little bit of time in between stamping and coloring. Okay, so I finished coloring in the fox, and for the fox I used the colors E97, E95, and actually E99 as the darkest. And I'm really loving that combination for the fox because they're really nice reddish browns, which I think suits the color of a fox really nicely. For the bunny, I'm just using some light brown colors and then coloring in its little ears and tail with some pink. And for each of the critters, I'm just coming back in with a white gel pen to sort of add some little accent lines that I think make these little critters look sort of cartoonish and really cute. For the scooters, I decided to color one purple and one teal because I thought that those colors just kind of worked nicely together. So for the purple scooter, I'm just using 2 different shades of purple and then a couple shades of gray to go on sort of those accent pieces of the scooter, or like the little connector pieces, I guess. These scooters are obviously super small images, so I definitely abandoned the idea of being able to fit in 3 colors to shade these. I just tried to squeeze in 2, and that was just as much as I could squeeze in. So I came in with one darker and one slightly lighter, and was just able to blend them together. Honestly, it's like barely noticeable and not much different than if I just used one color to color in those scooters because they're such small spaces. So you can just do whatever works best for you. For the helmets, I colored them to match the scooters, which I thought would be super cute. And then I used yellow as a little accent color on the bottom of the helmets and on the little horns because I thought that worked nicely with the purple and the blue. And coming back in with that white gel pen on all of those images as well. The stamp set also does come with an image that looks like a Y, and what it's meant to be is sort of the band of the helmet that goes around your chin on the critters, sort of viewed from the side. I didn't realize that's what it was. I just thought it was the letter Y, and I was so confused because I was trying to look at all of the sentiments and see which one would need an extra Y added to it. If there was some sentiment that could be changed by adding a Y, and I was racking my brain until I finally had to Google it, and of course somebody on the internet had been helpful and mentioned that that's what it was. So unfortunately I didn't stamp that out and use it on this card because I didn't realize at the beginning that that's what it was, but I definitely plan to use that the next time I use the stamp set because that is super, super cute, and I've seen other people using it with that little chin band on the helmets, and it looks so cute on the critters. So I encourage you to use that properly if you do have the stamp set and if you're using it. Now I went ahead and stamped out the sentiment. I just stamped it directly onto the panel, and I used my Mini Misty stamp positioner tool to make sure I got it right and stamp it out a couple times just to kind of make it nice and solid black. So the sentiment says "Scootin' by to say" at the top, and then on the bottom it says "Have a wheelie happy day," and that wheelie is sort of added as an extra little bit to the sentiment, which I think is really cute. I also cut out some cloud frames from a Lawn Fawn cloud frame die set using some white cardstock and just glued those down into the sky as well. And I really like the look of the dimension from these die cuts you get from the road, and those clouds are a little bit 3-dimensional because they're paper glued onto paper, so it adds a really nice 3D effect up close. Now to put this card together, I got a white card base, and then like I had mentioned before, the panel I had inked is slightly smaller than the card base, and I was able to fit a little mat in between, so I cut a piece of purple cardstock just slightly larger than my inked panel, and I glued that down onto the card base first before I glued down my inked panel. And I thought that that purple color sort of coordinated nicely with the color that I had colored in the scooter for the little bunny. So finally, I can just take some foam squares and use them to elevate these little critters and then glue them down onto the panel as well, or tape them down onto the panel, I should say. I'm just adding little bits of foam squares here and there onto the back of the critters, and then I'm able to use my tweezers to position them properly on the road and then stick them right down. And that is the card pretty much complete. I'll bring it closer to the camera so you can get a better look, and there you can see how cute those critters are on their little road, and you can kind of see the 3D effect you get from those die-cut clouds and road. So that is it. That is the card for today. I hope you enjoyed this somewhat short video showing how to make this fairly simple card using these adorable critters. I had a lot of fun making this card, and I hope you had fun watching. If you do want to see more of my cards, make sure to head over to my Instagram account, which is linked down in the video description below, where I share a lot more cards too. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!